Remember when phones were this tiny? In a world where bigger is better, it can be odd to imagine shrinking back down to a body this tiny. But the iPhone 13 mini shows us how good things can come and should come in small packages. The iPhone 13 and 13 mini are practically the same, except in size and battery life. So whatever we're going to be talking about will mostly apply to the iPhone 13 too. Let's get to it. In a world where big phones have become the norm, the differentiating factor for the iPhone 13 mini is its compact form factor. You get a 5.4-inch display in a flat-edge design, just like its predecessor, the iPhone 12 mini, while the standard iPhone 13 comes in at 6.1 inches. Although this might look small in the context of today's larger phones, if you really think about it, a 5.4-inch display is already bigger than the iPhone 8, what was considered a regular phone just 4 years ago. It's been a long time since I've handled a small phone. So over the years, our hands just adapted to handling bigger and bigger phones, and it's only when you try and switch back down that you really notice it. It takes getting used to. I find my hands over gripping the phone because of its smaller size, which can be slightly uncomfortable after long periods, especially if you type with both hands. But the transition period is brief. If you do most things one-handed, type with SwiftKey, or are mainly just scrolling, then this is a comfortable fit. On the flip side, it looks and fits great in your pocket, even in annoyingly small ones on women's clothing. It's definitely lighter than regular phones at 141 grams, so light that it sometimes feels like it's not there. The smaller real estate though means this may not be your first choice for gaming, watching movies, or intensive working. The Super Retina XDR OLED display now comes with a 20% smaller notch and gets a lot brighter at up to 800 nits max brightness. It does well outdoors in bright sun. The new iPhone 13 series now has increased drop resistance and is said to be even more durable with a ceramic shield on the glass. Surprisingly though, it comes with a standard 60Hz refresh rate, unlike the Pro and Pro Max, which have just leapfrogged to an adaptive 120Hz, reflective of a flagship of its time. It leaves quite a gap between the models, especially in a season when even mid-range phones are regularly bringing in at least 90Hz. But let's not go off topic. This small screen size isn't really the best for long hours of entertainment consumption anyway, so the standard refresh rate may not bother you. It definitely didn't bother me. Although I do find myself zooming in to review the pictures and videos I've taken, but hey, that could just be my eyesight. I originally thought I would be airdropping footage out onto my larger phone, an iPhone 11, to do things like editing. But it turns out, we humans can get used to anything pretty quickly, and switching down to working on a smaller body is manageable if you really put your mind to it. The iPhone 13 mini runs on the new, faster A15 Bionic chip with 4 gigs of RAM and storage options for 128 gigs, 256 gigs, and 512 gigs, finally removing the 64 gig storage option, long overdue in my opinion. From our Geekbench test, we got a single core score of 1723 and multi-core score of 4591. It uses the same A15 Bionic chip as the iPhone 13 Pro Max, so it will be fast. As expected, the score is very close to the other higher spec iPhone 13 variations. For comparison's sake, the Samsung Galaxy S21 Plus 5G with the Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 records average scores of 966 for single core and 3045 for multi-core, so the iPhone 13 series is leading the pack in terms of processing power. You get a 12-megapixel wide lens and a 12-megapixel ultra-wide lens, and the cameras for the iPhone 13 and 13 mini are basically the ones from the iPhone 12 Pro. It's pretty impressive that they squeezed those nice big cameras into such a small body. I mean, take a look at the ones on my iPhone 11. When it comes to marketing, there's always the overemphasis on how high the megapixels go in cameras, but I've always liked how that never comes up with iPhones. Sure, it's only 12 megapixels, but look at what it can do with 12 megapixels. Pictures that are realistic with great colors, it performs beautifully in well-lit situations. but I also really appreciate how far iPhone's low light performance has come, especially with night mode bringing in good detail and vivid colors. Apple has also introduced photographic styles, which allows you to customize the look of your photos directly in the camera app for tone and warmth. It definitely feels more natural than slapping a filter on. Personally, I didn't use this much because I like how the standard iPhone look looks already. Video recording goes up to 4K at 60 frames per second and 1080p at 240 frames per second. The cinematic mode, now available in the iPhone 13 series, means you can now shoot videos with that bokeh effect. Really cool feature, but sometimes the bokehness can be pretty obvious, and there are times when the camera isn't quite sure what to focus on, especially if your subject is not a person. But you'll be able to change the focus or adjust the depth effect or turn off cinematic altogether, even after you've shot the footage. ProRes is not available on the iPhone 13 and 13 mini, as that is exclusively for the Pro range, and you can check out our in-depth review of the camera experience down in the link below. The battery life though is the one thing that made me pause, but as always, it depends on how you use the phone. Realistically, there's only so much battery you can fit into a small body, and Apple has improved on the battery life compared to the iPhone 12 mini, claiming an extra 1.5 hours. If I'm going out for a day of casual use, it'll be fine till I get home. But when I use my phone a little more extensively, like shooting for social media, by lunch it'll be dipping into low battery mode. So a power bank or a MagSafe battery pack is likely to be a part of life for days that you really need to keep going.
On the other hand, I find myself being a lot more mindful about my usage, even if it's by necessity rather than by choice, but that can only be a good thing considering how addicted most of us are to our devices.
A couple of things you could do to manage that range anxiety is put it into low power mode all the time, switch it to dark mode, that sort of thing, to stretch it a little further. While iPhones and phones in general have been getting bigger, the screen-to-body ratios have also gone way up over the last few years, so you're not really sacrificing screen size or specs. Small phones have also shown us there were serious consideration, like the unique foldable experience of the Samsung Z Flip 3 or the Asus Zenfone 8, which is also a high-performance phone with a Snapdragon 888 chipset. The Zenfone has a taller build, which can make for a more comfortable grip, but it focuses a little less on cameras. I think the iPhone 13 mini balances out the era of the giant phone nicely. A little moderation. Maybe we don't actually need phones to get bigger. The iPhone 13 mini is about portability, taking great pictures and videos, and being in a casual relationship with your phone while performing at the top of its class. A daily companion and not a heavy-duty time suck. So, I'm team small phone now, or shall I say regular phone. It's the other phones that are oversized. The iPhone 13 mini starts from 3,399 ringgit or 1,149 Sing dollars, and the iPhone 13 starts from 3,899 ringgit or 1,299 Sing dollars.
So, is a small phone for you? If you're ready for a possibly healthier casual relationship with your phone while still getting all the good stuff packed into a compact body, then the iPhone 13 mini makes a really good case. I guess good things really do come in small packages.